through the pick and ban phase beatdown, so we didn't get a chance to really highlight some of the things that we're looking at for this game. Oplon, I know the exciting thing is that Z-Core is coming in for Tiger, and, you know, talking with the NLC casters who got to see him witness firsthand, he's an extremely exciting player. But for Misfits Premier, we still give them the expectations and kind of the upper hand and saying, hey, you guys are a middle-of-the-pack team right now, and you're looking to break through that mold and put yourself solidifying at the top half of the bracket. You need to take down Oplon, and one of the ways that I want to see that happen, focus through Irrelevant on the top side, because Darlik has mostly been playing either some weak side champions or champions that allow him to get through the laning phase super safely, such as the Renekton, even though it doesn't provide as much impact later on. It's all about, hey, you know, Darlik, we're just going to give you this champion, we're going to leave you on an island, we're going to play towards our bot side. But for Misfits Premier, Irrelevant has been such an exciting carry top laner. Things like the Jace, 100% win rate, by the way. The Gangplank, even though hasn't netted a win yet, has still looked pretty exciting on the champion in past weeks.
That's right, he's really good on the Jax as well, and I think the point of what you're making about Oplon makes a lot of sense. Like, we're already seeing things like the Aphelios and Victor come through, so you got to imagine it is going to be more something tankier in that top side of the map. Go for that standard front to back, which is what we kind of generally see from Darlik, like you were expecting here. And now we have that Aphelios coming through from Z-Core. The interesting thing about this player is that from his time over in the Nordic region, he's shown that he is really good at playing not only with resources but without the mark, and that's been the most interesting thing. You put him on something like Aphelios, even if he gets not as much attention as other AD carries might like or thrive with, he's still able to function and team fight extremely well here. And for Oplon, who like to play for Peng, their mid laner, who is a player we highlight a lot since the league started, I think he might end up being a really good fit.
It's got to be a game changer. It's got to be something that just sparks and ignites as a catalyst for Team Oplon, you know, which is why they probably made the swap over to him. Now we look at Misfits Premier. They just had to face a Leona lock-in for Absolute. Misfits Premier, they already have the exciting Zeri locked in alongside Hecarim and Syndra. With this Gnar blind pick, what does this leave for Darlik in the top side? Now, Renekton is still available. It's something that he's picked in the past, but Camille. Is this our first time seeing Darlik on Camille this split so far?
I'm almost certain it is. For the most part, he's been playing more tankier champions. Things like the Malphite has come through, the Gragas a handful of times. I don't think we've seen him play the Camille at all this split. I mean, it is good into Gnar, especially early on. And with Brunez on this Xinjiao.
Because this is a team where you can no longer be a passenger in these games. You have to play for the early game. You have to push tempo, and you need to look for these opportunities, because when you look at the side of Misfits Premier, as you already pointed out before, you have a little ticking time bomb in this Zeri.
That's right, and that's, again, Irrelevant is the one we got to watch in these first couple minutes of the game. Is going to be under a lot of threat. Really low base stats as Mini Gnar early on. So you got to imagine that's going to be a point of contention. I say that, but interestingly enough, Brunez is starting on the red buff. He is going to start with a leash as well, so his presence and pathing will be largely understood. This is actually true for both sides, both junglers going through here. So interestingly enough, we aren't going to see an attempted three-wave crash into a dive in the top lane for Oplon, which, I mean, is unfortunate. I think that's part of why you picked this Camille into this matchup here, but I think ultimately, like, in the 1 versus 1, Darlik can perform. He should still be able to kind of get ahead of Irrelevant.
So far, nothing too exciting in the first 2 minutes. No fancy level 1 invades, no shenanigans going on either. Getting a lowdown and a rundown of all the keystones and runes. Already, Vander and Woolite have the level 2 push. They're going to get this huge push-in wave here. Now, I want to see Misfits Premier taking this time. Vander already going to look for an aggressive ward. We'll be able to spot out Brunez more than likely on the Gromp. He will hit level 3, but he's not necessarily in position to move with Z-Core or Absolute to punish, as they're the ones getting their wave shoved in.
Peng is in a lot of trouble right now. They're using their priority from the Misfits bottom lane. Peng's done.
Dude, Vander, if he can time out the flash, Gravity Field comes out, but this dive should be quick. Woolite has to flash away, but Ignite will secure the kill. First blood over to Vander. However, Woolite is far beyond into no man's land. And that's going to be Brunez getting a revenge kill.
Wow, and that ends up being positive for Oplon. I mean, ultimately, that first blood kill goes onto the support. Sure, assist gold comes through from Woolite, but you end up falling and not being able to make it back to that bottom lane very quickly. And ultimately, because of the TP, Peng doesn't end up losing a whole lot for it. I think a kill on Brunez is going to be a lot more valuable. I like this play overall, but you could see it too. Chayek gets the first tower shot coming through, but a very well-placed gravity field is what ends up kind of making the situation fall apart here from Misfits Premier.
You know, it's one of those moments where you're like, you know, I like the early aggression, I like the play. Execution, unfortunately, falls a little flat because at the cost of, or the benefit of putting Peng behind, it is the cost of Woolite losing a summoner spell and then losing some time getting in that wave pushed in. But because they had successfully pushed in that wave, he doesn't end up losing too much compared to Z-Core, who was still in the lane during that whole time. You already saw a little bit of more aggression in the mid lane. Peng didn't burn the flash, so he still can be relatively safe if he gets ganked by Tinks in the future. But teleport was expended. Chayek comes back to lane with a small advantage of an extra Doran's Ring versus Darkseal for Peng. Misfits Premier still want to play this early game a little bit on the slower side. They don't necessarily need to accelerate the tempo. As long as they're protecting Irrelevant from any early ganks from Bruness and Darlik, then I imagine for Misfits Premier, they're fine taking this game slow.
And you can see it, they're doing a good job of setting up vision on this topside river. They have Scuttle Crab, they have a ward by the Tri-Brush, meaning it's going to be hard for Bruness to be able to find anything unless it ends up being a lane gang off of a wave bouncing back. And I mean, Irrelevant has been crashing waves into this top tower, so the opportunity could very well be there. So far, he is getting ahead of Darlik in a lot of these trades, as you can see. The health is certainly favoring the Gnar in this matchup, but still, we're even seeing Brunez continue to path away. So it seems like Darlik and Irrelevant left alone on this top lane island with not a whole lot of team attention thus far. It's seeming like both teams are just going to set their sights on the bottom side, go for this dragon here, and I think we could see Brunez instead try to make a play on the bottom side of the map.
There's still no flash on Woolite. Tinks reading the situation, however, already pathing towards the bottom side of the map. Will hit Krugs first, and then there will be a window where he can either look for this crab that is respawning, play off of the priority from Woolite and Vander, or just stick around for a few minutes, let Woolite and Vander get one more crash. Note here, Dragon has spawned. Rift Herald will be spawning in about 2 minutes. Misfits Premier normally have played for Rift Herald in the past, using the priority gained from Irrelevant. I want to see if that is their focus here, or if Tinks actually just wants to go for a play on the bottom side.
I'm not sure he was actually spotted out. Now he will be. So not a whole lot is going to be able to come from that one. Neither jungler able to do much in this early game, but I think Brunez is actually going to come back because maybe they're expecting the recall come through. Maybe they look like they want to fight this one, or if they just help with the wave shove, they're just going to be able to go for dragon number 1 here. And it's good for Oplon because if there's no dragon up, they don't have to worry about objective trades when the Herald comes up in a few minutes. Something they could also play for, and since they have a good amount of early game power, to be honest, they could actually come out on top and get it.
Bruness having to stay near the Tri-Bush because they had no confirmation whether Tinks had recalled or was waiting for both Z-Core and Absolute to push in the wave and be overextended here. The way that Woolite and Vander playing up, though, they're thinking, okay, is Tinks still around here? And Misfits Premier is really giving Oplon a run for their money, and like, do we know if Hecarim is here or not? Because would he be that psychopathic to just be staying here and not farming camps? Meanwhile, Tinks is like, they don't know Pepe left. I'm farming on the top side of the map.
He's just so far away, and then using that implied pressure there from Woolite and Vander, what does it do? It gets Brunez off the dragon. It constantly is getting him to hover on this bottom side of the map, and now he knows he's spent enough time there and instead going to just recall and head towards the top side. So it looks like Herald and Dragon will be on the map at the same time. Like you said, Misfits play a lot for it here, and now we gotta fight top.
Oh, Irrelevant, not quite hitting the mark on the Mega Gnar ultimate, but Darlik did force to use Hextech Ultimatum. Chayek already used Unleash Power onto Peng, trying to force him away and looking for a recall, trying to buy priority for Tinks so that he can start up this Rift Herald on spawn. Brunes doesn't quite face check into Chayek and spots him out thanks to that sweeper. And now Tinks should have full control of being able to do this Rift Herald by himself.
I mean, yeah, Pang is recall. Both mid laners actually are recalling, but they should know Chayek doesn't have teleport. So if they want to make the play for it, they actually might have the option to do so. But it's looking like the option might not be there. I feel like that is a bit of a wasted opportunity, especially with Irrelevant. Using that Gnar ultimate doesn't have the option to fight for the Herald, at least with that particular ultimate ready to go. But ultimately, Oplon, they're just going to let that one go. Not going to actually try and contest it. Maybe make a play for the Dragon after Zcor and Absolute come back from their reset. But ultimately, this is a pretty slow game coming through from Oplon, all things considered. Usually in games past, although we wanted to see better early games from them, they're usually more active. But so far, we haven't seen very much. Maybe we'll see something now.
Oh, that's huge. Irrelevant got knocked out of the hop by the hook shot from Darlic, and there is no way that Irrelevant will get out of this one alive. Brunes technically wasn't even needed. He shows up just in case he does manage to get out of that one, but Darlic does find the solo kill.
Yeah, really nicely played. This is what we wanted to see from Oplon's top laner. When you pick this matchup, using the pressure, especially canceling the hop, using the fact that the Gnar was exhausted, no Mega Gnar was coming through, you end up getting the kill. At least Brunes is there to help shove that wave. And interestingly enough, we're seeing the Hullbreaker purchase come through from Irrelevant. You know, funny enough, when we were going into this matchup, we were talking about it, Mark. We were saying, you know, Irrelevant, big split pusher. This is putting him on those champions like Jax or whatever is what's going to get him a lot of value. We're going to hold that thought.
Oh, Zcor, welcome to the LFL, buddy. This is a warm welcome that you can receive. A cow flashing for your under the tower, and Tinks making sure that he just runs you right down with the Stampede.
I mean, ultimately, that is still kind of positive, although you are going to lose out on a bit of farm. Zcor does end up getting the kill, but you can see it, the gold lead really starting to build for Misfits. Premier's 80 carry. Woolite up 20 CS now. And we talked about how Zcor can do well with limited resources. Well, we're going to have to see that come through in this game as well, Mark, because, well, Oplon haven't been able to do very much for him thus far. Haven't been able to do very much at all, honestly. Only 3 kills come through. I mean, one of them was in response to that dive. One was a solo, and then there was the one off the failed dive in the mid lane that Brunes went. Nothing really proactive. Oplon, very reactive in this early game here, and I mean, you still have power, especially now with Brunes reaching that level 6, having access to the Crescent Guard. Like, we could see plays come through here.
Brunes, I'm going to remind that Team Oplon is still on this timer. And because you already pointed it out, they haven't made that many great early game plays. In fact, these 2 kills from Darlic and Brunes, while, yes, great for them that they netted them, they came at the cost of Misfits Premier making a slight error on the execution of an aggressive play, reacting and punishing any slight overextensions made on Misfits Premier's side. Oplon haven't been the aggressor. They haven't been the proactive team. And that was something that we wanted to see if Zcor was going to change that for them. However, they just burned summoner spells on Zcor in the prior dive, and you see Absolute trying to come. He's like, I'm coming, homie. I want to save you, but he can't get there in time. Vander with the Unbreakable has so much damage reduction, able to mitigate all the turret shots coming in. Gets out cleanly. Chayek zoning off the remaining members of Brunes and Pang, making sure they cannot follow up on the dive. And now this Rift Herald is going to crash.
Yeah, and there it is. You're really starting to unlock Woolite here. It's starting to feel like time is up, Mark, as now all that extra gold goes into the Zeri's pocket, and he is just going to become even more of a problem later on. Woolite completely unleashed here in this game, and now you can see it really solidifying this gold lead Misfits have for themselves. We're looking at 3,000, and yeah, all Oplon really have to show for this early game is some kills, some gold, and of course the first dragon. But I don't know if they're going to be able to contest much more. I mean, if you think about it, look at how are they supposed to play out these team fights. Zcor has been set so far behind because of all the attention on this bottom side. Now they're just rotating him top, hoping they can get that first move, trying to see if they can get him some of these camp gold, some gold from these camps as well, just because, I mean, he needs a tower to protect him more than anything else.
Tinks has now upgraded his Bomby Cinder into the Turbo Chem Tank. Uh-oh.
Oh,
no!
Your support's not
here!
here!
Leave him alone! This is his first day in LFL! You don't gotta do him dirty like that! Come come on, man. But Misfits Premier saying there is no mercy in this dojo beatdown. We are not taking any trespassers. This is our territory, and you're going to have to fight for it. And Z-Core just not strong enough to fight back.
That's right. What better welcome is there than reminding them how merciless some of these teams could be, Mark? The fact that you can't do that if you don't have your supports to play with, and they capitalize on it beautifully. Misfits really just putting the screws to Oplon in this early game, and now, I mean, now that we're out of this laning phase, you can see it. Tank still hasn't even used that onslaught of shadows. Peng is really low, so you know there's no mid laner in this fight, but they want to fight anyway.
Huge two-man knockup onto Brunes, and Absolute tries to dissuade the fight with the solar flare, but still goes down. Z-Core arrives back from the grave, is able to get one back for the side of Team Oplon. Slight overextension from Misfits Premier. Darlic now coming in through the Hulk shot. Hextech Ultimatum, locks down Chayek, no Absolute, no Unleashed power available. This is a lot of damage coming through from Team Oplon. Can they clean up? Can they finish? Can they find the kills? It's only on to Tinks. The rest of the members survive.
And ultimately still favorable trade for Misfits Premier. Even when it looks like Oplon are turning it back, they still end up falling short. It's tough. This gold lead just continues to grow. That is a funny looking interaction here, but we're going to see it in the replay. Like, you know Peng's low HP, so Tinks is like, yeah, these are my Raptors. You can't do anything about it. And the fact that you're walking up, I took that personally, Mark, so they decided to go in here. But the thing is, Peng, from range, could still put in a decent amount of damage with that Chaos Storm without actually putting himself in much danger. So it is what allowed the trade kill from Z-Core to come through. The problem ends up being, Darlic, that's 3 people. Your jungle and mid laner are less than half health. So you had to know you were on your own in that one, and, well, you fell.
You know, all criticism aside, I think Oplon have to be in this seat where you have to be reaching for as many kills or as many advantages you can try and force your way back in, because at this point, Misfits Premier, they're already ahead. They're already in a position where the longer the game goes on, the more that they are favored outside of maybe Peng and Z-Core finding huge miraculous kills in the backline. But you look at this situation right here.
Perfect example.
When Misfits Premier are all grouped up, they have the numbers advantage. It's just so damn easy to deal with the members of Team Oplon one by one. Darlic doesn't even get the takedown Tings because of a beautiful onslaught of shadows, puts the fear into him. Literally, Darlic does not get out. Irrelevant flashing forward with the Mega Gnar, finds Z-Core, scoops him right back up. 4 members gone from Team Oplon.
4-1 for Woolite on the Zeri, Mark, and that's going to be another turret going into his favor here. Misfits, they just keep pushing the pace, and they just keep knocking Oplon over at every turn. Now, you're solo invading as the AD carry, man. That's how you know you're feeling good. That's how you know your team is so far in the lead. Misfits aren't even playing for Dragon Soul, not even a big deal for them at the moment here. It's the Rift Herald. They want to be able to continue this, take more turrets, and get really close to pretty much where they are. Knocking these outer towers, making it hard for Oplon to walk out of the base, and with doing that, whatever time Oplon had left to make something happen at this stage of the game is just going to run out while all these waves are pushed into their base.
Second Dragon is alive to take by either team, but the way that the map state looks right now, Beatdown, I don't think Oplon really has any rights to the bottom side of the map. It is shrouded in darkness, and while the same remains for Misfits Premier, they're the stronger team. They have more members that can easily face check versus the side of Team Oplon, because if any of these members walk up, not even the tankiest member in Absolute is going to survive.
No, and I mean, it is, tankiest is definitely that relative term, too. I mean, all you really have to go for here is the plated steel caps and the Kindle Gem. So ultimately, Absolute is going to be, especially not going after Shock, is just going to have to use his whole kit and then hope there's a trade kill in the process. But because of this presence in that top lane, what does it mean? You get Dragon, Tinks can walk up with the Rift Herald that we saw him take earlier, and Shelly's probably going to get another charge here. The recall is forced. That means Darlic's in trouble.
You know, I want to see if Darlic actually finds one back. Oh, wait a minute. Hook shot. Ignite ticking down. Irrelevant. Oh, hop, skip, and a jump. It's just the hop. He crunches him down. Darlic, you know, when we were looking at that solo kill opportunity that occurred and Darlic was able to punish, there is a window where Irrelevant did not have flash for a few minutes.
That's true.
And unfortunately for Team Oplon, they didn't find the proactive window to punish that. They knew that a lot of the snowball was coming from Tinks playing towards Woolite and Vander towards the bottom lane. They had already burned 2 summoner spells from Z-Core. I know this is a little bit of kind of retrospective hindsight, but this is the problem that Team Oplon have been plagued with for a majority of the season. They have these windows where it's like, yes, we can play aggressively, but they don't coordinate as well as they need to find that window to lock down the time that they can snowball, right? If they were trying to play towards Z-Core, they didn't do him a pretty good job of it enough, because Z-Core was left alone and left to die. So at this point in the game, Oplon, you are hoping for a series of miracle throws where Misfits Premier overextend, don't knock out Pang and Z-Core immediately, and if they're like right on top of the gravity field, then maybe you can destroy a majority of these members from Misfits Premier, because outside of Tinks, they're not as tanky, they're not as durable. However, oh no.
Yeah.
Beatdown, we've seen this story before.
We've seen this movie before, and we know the ending. It's Darlic going back to the base. He's trying to push out some of these side waves, but it's like you're talking about, Mark. There's no vision that he can play for. And what it means is that he's pushing out a wave, nobody's on the map, and if he doesn't respect that, he's going to end up getting punished, like we've seen for these last couple of minutes here. And it's tough. Oplon, like you said, don't have much to play for anymore. They are going to be able to pick up some objective bounties, but it's hard, because the engage that Misfits are able to provide is just something very powerful here. You can see it with how Vander moves in a lot of these team fights. Oh my god. He's gone.
When you got Unbreakable, you can make these turret dives flawlessly, effortlessly. Panda does have to flash away. There's a lot of CC coming in, but they take down the turret. Darlic teleports in, looks for a hook shot.
Jinx is here.
No Hextech ultimatum being coming out right now. Bruness flashes forward, trades one back on to Vander. The rest of Misfits Premier, they're diving into the inhibitor turret. Tinks takes down Absolute before using the Onslaught of Shadows to disengage. 4 members still strong. They make this push. They're going to take down the first inhibitor of the game.
And they could go for a 20-minute Baron if they really wanted to. They're just so far ahead at the moment here, Mark, and you can see it. Misfits, they're just pushing, going for all these fights they know they can win. Tinks was solo diving to kill Absolute, and he manages to walk away from that one, and it just nets more gold in their favor here. And I mean, Tinks, we didn't even get to talk about it much during Champ Select, but he's 2-0 on this Hecarim pick. When we were talking about how we thought this pick and ban phase was going to go, I remember you saying, like, nah, I think they're going to ban Hecarim. Like, they got to respect that, right? Well,
and they did it!
They didn't, and look what's going on. Tinks is 4-1-5. He's been able to help his team beautifully, especially Woolite on the bottom side of the map, who, look, time is up, man. Zeri's here to play. We're 2 items working on 3. He can see what he's able to do in these team fights.
I also got a little debated because I thought Team Oplon was going to be on the blue side, but I'm looking through the pick and ban phase once again, and there's a couple things that we called. Akshan being banned, of course.
True, the Ahri ban.
And the Ahri ban. Everything else, though, was there a Thresh ban this game?
There was not.
Okay, damn. Close.
I mean, you're right, it should have been, if that makes you feel better.
But, you know what's funny is that the 2 bans that I thought for sure were going to come through, obviously the Hecarim and then the Zeri. But both of them made through! And then Misfits Premier got both of them! It's like, what?
Yeah, I honestly think like we're at this point where even with the changes on 12-4 for Zeri, like letting her through is just criminal, man. And, well, Oplon committed the illegal move, and Misfits is making them pay for it, as they're going to get a very early Baron here just before 22 minutes. Vander, is he even in trouble?
Nah, he's got Unbreakable. Look,
so strong.
He's not taking any damage. Dude, he's a Chad.
Yeah.
Now he has to disengage because the Unbreakable is timing out, but Tinks comes in, cleans up with the Onslaught of Shadows. A flash forward from Charlie with the Unleashed Power. Takes out Z-Core once again. Bruness also falls. Absolute on the run. Pang, you've got nowhere else to go because you've got a giant horse just running you down. And this should be game for Misfits Premier.
Man, just under 23 minutes, Misfits Premier take down Oplon. I can't say we're surprised with the results. This is kind of what we've been expecting here. But so far, Oplon haven't been able to pull it together. That is going to be their 11th loss in a row.
Oplon will not break the lose streak today, unfortunately for them. Misfits Premier, though.